Good afternoon. Welcome to the Meltdown. Folks, if you have an opportunity, and you'd like to register with Ustream, you can always feel free to chat online with me. Now, I know I need to be a little more consistent so you could do that, but you can always email me questions, comments, concerns, Brett, B-R-E-T-T, at thegoldexchange.net. I'd like to look at email. I'd love to be able to respond to questions and concerns. Had a big deal of gold and some silver come through earlier today. Won't be here much past about 3:30, 4 o'clock, but if you get a chance, reach out to me. Call the store 281-548-2646, hit option 0. My other company, Eagle Numismatics, 888-273-8873. Now, I'm keeping an eye on what's going on, and one of the best deals of last week was a Brasher doubloon that sold at about $4.5 million. It was a bargain, and it's hard to imagine bargains in the $4.5 million price range, but rarity commands a premium all the time. It is one of the areas that I constantly tell people they should be a part of. Too many of you don't understand it. Subsequently, you choose to step away from it. But I can tell you that over the past few weeks, the price of gold has gone up over 4 percentage points. And if you're keeping score over your CDs or anything else out there, this is a pretty big area of run. The bond market is getting a lot of steam and yields are coming down. That 3% money, 2.85% money, granted you've got to invest in America, and the fact that quantitative easing is going to continue seems to be the norm. The Dow is giving up almost 200 points today, down 1.16%. The NASDAQ is off on a percentage basis greater. The S&P is down a little more than the Dow. Treasuries are down. We're back down to a yield of 2.83% because people like the idea of 3% money over a decade-long period. I think it's horrible. Annuities seem to be getting a lot of interest because insurance companies are willing to take and give more interest than you can get in most markets. And, you know, the thing that most people don't really understand and most don't really care about is how are you going to make the paycheck next week? Because one of the things that's being utilized out there is while you get more people to work, if they're losing hours and they're not getting full-time paychecks, you don't really help the economy. Last Friday, the 374,000 people that walked away from the job market, 347, 374 was one of the two figures. To lose your job or to stop looking for your job because the benefits are gone. You know, that's one of the big issues from a couple of weeks ago is 1.3 million unemployed lost benefits. And so you look at the fact that there are all of these big rare coins that I talk about. And there's a lot of mid-range coins. I love GSA, Carson City Morgan dollars. Markets are looking for areas to invest into. That's part of the reason why the housing market is, the bubble is going to get blown up again. It's going to get blown up primarily because you've got 0% down loans, hoping that maybe there's enough equity in a property, but things get overinflated all the time. What I like and what I really try to hone in on is the simple fact that gold and silver are biblical-based commodities. It's from that standpoint that I've tracked a few transactions recently where people are selling other items to some other dealers and not utilizing the proper information. In other words, I know some people who are selling some assets at a fraction of their value. And of course, the only reason they would do that is that they stole the property. They got hold of it and it wasn't theirs to sell in the first place. Now, It's no hidden message out there. People steal. And the difference between intent um, and just doing it is serious. Folks, but when you've got an item, $20 gold piece of currency, and you know that that piece of currency has a value of $5,000 or $10,000, if somebody sells it at a third of its value, odds are it wasn't theirs in the first place. That's pretty basic. It's one of the reasons why gold dealers are required in the state of Texas to provide their documentation to the chief of police in their local jurisdiction. We adhere to those rules. We provide the documentation. A couple of years ago, I had a office manager who was peeling off transactions, and I had a couple of the girls find the paperwork right after she was terminated. Now, certainly hope to be able to get the local law enforcement agency to get involved, but we'll chase it down to the state. We'll go to the district attorney and deal with it. That having been said, it's why coins and currency should be graded if it's a value. People can obviously cut off or break the coins out of their tamper-resistant holders. All kinds of things can be done. But this is a market that is very astute, and people communicate rather quickly. And so you put out a warning, you advise people of what's going on. And so for those of you that are looking at gold and silver, you want to own the cheapest stuff because that's what you can comprehend and what you understand. You've got your career in whatever field it may be in, and ultimately that's good for you. But if you're looking to preserve capital and you've got enough trust factor with whoever it is that's in your life, then you can put it in a safe. You can gain access through safety deposit boxes if that's what you choose to utilize. But for me, my interest is to make sure that you've got an array and diversification within the hedge in your portfolio. So you own stocks or bonds and your 401ks or IRAs, and you own your home and a second home, and you've got cars and jewelry, and you've got different types of collectibles from guns to whatever your forte is that you really like. For me, I want to be able to tell you, own different types of coins, because when President Reagan signed the law back in 1985, Public Law 99-185, the new coins were deemed to be numismatic. It just means they're collectible. But you find people who don't know what they've got, and they don't ask the questions, they just take it and liquidate it. They didn't have a goal in mind. Well, when I sit and talk to folks, we do come up with a goal. We do have a strategy. I'll take your transaction, we'll utilize it, we'll fill the order, and when it's your idea, I don't have to worry about my head being on a chopping block because I gave you bad advice. My situation is, I want to take non-performing assets. I'm not a big gold bug. I like silver. I like silver right now because it offers between 3 and 5 times greater upside potential than gold does. Gold's going to trade in its ranges. It'll have up days and down days. Today the down was $1,244. The upside is right where we're basically at right now at almost $1,256. Wasn't all that long ago we were below $1,200. And the guys who think that gold is going to drop to the $700 or $800 range, the amount of demand that would be on our front door to get those packages would be huge, because literally more demand than supply makes a commodity appreciate. Now, I looked into the currency markets, and the dollar's down today, but it's mixed against foreign currencies because the problems are a global issue. The Nikkei was down 1.5%. The price of oil still slipping. Are you seeing the changes at the gas pump? We're still trading at a 13% premium platinum over gold. And all of these factors and all this information is to simply say, you need to have a strategy. You need to be looking out 10, 20 years. You need to realize that 20, 2015 and 2016 are going to be bad years. We're going to have inflation begin to rear back up. We're not in an inflationary environment today. Purely, we're in a deflationary spiral. When you look at consumer prices, and the consumer price index does not include food and energy, you're manipulating the figures to make things look better. That's what government does typically. And that's why the division between the Democrats and the Republicans and the independents and the Tea Partiers, you throw all of it into total chaos. And so for me, diversification is simple. You may have a big pile of stuff, but you take that stuff and you start to put it around areas of markets where there is demand. The average guy on the street doesn't understand it. The average dealer doesn't understand it. But when I look at what's going on in the economy and you look at the world's problems, we're not going to settle the debt anytime soon. It's not going to happen. And as far as the Federal Reserve goes, Ben Bernanke's getting ready to leave, folks. Janet Yellen's going to take over. And when she takes over, you may see QE increase. Now, Bernanke says we're coming down, but the truth of the matter is that the recovery is stumbling. We've got problems and issues. It's the same thing that Tim Geithner talked about. And so you listen to guys like a Bill Gross, or you listen to CEOs at the top level of major retail companies, and you understand that they're not being affected. Their employees might be. The buying public is. I think more people are looking at cash than they ever have. But the truth of the matter is that when you get right down to it, cash is paper, and paper is volatile. I want gold and silver as a hedge against what the governments are doing around the world. And yes, tapering has begun. Its attempt at stimulating. We're just buying less. We're not selling anything. And while you wonder what the future holds, you can make some clear decisions about what's going to happen. The government says they're going to cut back on buying bonds, our own bonds. But you know what? If there's any stumble in the next 30 to 60 days, they'll drop it. They'll go right back to quantitative easing. They may even hit the hammer and go harder. And that's what Yellen has said. That is literally going to create a market where there's more demand than supply, and that's when gold runs. Buy it when no one else is. Do it the opposite of what you think. Be a contrarian. That's the best message I can give you. Today there's a glut of material. I can't promise it 2 weeks from now. And all of a sudden, you could see prices rise. 2014 Silver Eagles are not out from the mint yet, so everyone's clamoring and stammering and wants to get their hands on them so that they can start filling the orders from previous years as people build their sets. Folks, I'm telling you, buy what you can get your hands on, because when the rest of, quote, America, when the world gets a hold of the fact that you want to own rarer material, all of a sudden the demand cycle comes back around. Anyway, I want you to understand that I want to answer questions, so you can email me anytime. That's brett@thegoldexchange.net. You can call me 281-548-2646. Hit option 0, you'll get to a live voice. Now, I want to state one more fact for the record, and that is that unfortunately I am in a horrible divorce, and issues that do not pertain to the business are being scrutinized. Folks, if you've got a question, you've got something you want to say, just make the phone call. Be more than happy to address your concerns, your questions. This is a medium to be able to talk to you about why certain coins outperform other coins. And the rest of it is all hogwash, but that'll come out shortly. Anyway, folks, I appreciate you listening in. Please go to themeltdown.com. Listen to a show, write down the questions, hop around. We've been doing this for years now. And ultimately, it's not about gloom and doom. It's just about reality. 317 million people in this country. Estimates as high as 90 million Americans are not working. It's 30% basically. I've claimed that there are 20 to 25% of this country is not working. And we can't afford to keep, quote, the unemployment roll going the way we have. Um, the sequester debate, all of those other issues gets right down to the nitty gritty. Do you have wealth protection? Do you have wealth insurance? What are you doing to protect your family? The economy is still very fragile. And I think that's what we're hearing all over the place, unless you're in that top maybe 1/4%, the highest income earners. They're making more money. Anyway, I never get off a podcast without thanking Texas Children's Hospital, both the Ronald McDonald House and the Meyer Center, the Downs Clinic. Now, if you visit themeltdown.com, there are 2 donation banners. You can provide your information. It's all anonymous from me. I appreciate the funding to either the Downs Clinic, that's the Meyer Center, or the Ronald McDonald House. Folks, if you can provide a hot meal for between 20 and 60 people on any given evening, please call Nancy Allen and her staff at 832-824-8600. That's 832-824-8600. I appreciate the doctors, the nurses, the staff, and the volunteers at Texas Children's throughout the medical center and around the globe. The kids require our help, and we do what we can to help them. Anyway, thanks for listening in. If you've got any questions, email them to me or call the store. We're open till 5. I appreciate you tuning in. Have a great afternoon. Stay warm. It's supposed to get cold again tonight, and God bless you. We appreciate it. Bye-bye.